It is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, and looking out the window at Defiance. It is a beautiful sunny morning. It was chilly. It was in the mid to upper 40s this morning when I took Willow and Blue for a walk. But I think it's supposed to be in the low 70s today and gradually warming through the rest of the week before settling back into normal September weather. The devotion for today is entitled "The Strong Survive to Help the Weak," written by Kenneth Samuel. Kenneth bases the devotion upon Romans chapter 15, verse 1, New International Version. We who are strong ought to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. And then Kenneth writes, the adage, only the strong survive, give the impression that the future belongs only to a select few. The philosophy is so widely held that most of us today accept competition and the struggle for existence as part of our inherent human condition. Unregulated capitalism is one of the many prevailing social systems perpetuated by principles that propagate the survival of the fittest. We even teach our children to compete at very young ages, insisting that they accept the reality of winners and losers in this dog-eat-dog world. But communities built upon the principles of mutual service and reciprocity are organized much differently than communities ensconced in competition and individual struggle. In the New Testament Church of Romans, a person's strength was not measured by individual achievement, but by community commitment. The Lord of Lords, who fills the needs of the poor, the weak, and the outcast, is precisely what set the Christ community apart from the bastions of Roman imperialism. Jesus' majesty was demonstrated by his willingness to dwell among the people of low estate. His power is manifested in his his power was manifested in his compassion for the least of these. His strength was demonstrated in his conscientious choice to bear a cross for sins that were not his own. Could there be any better way to honor Jesus' legacy and extend Jesus' life than building a community that perpetuates his prototype? A community that elevates compassion over competition. A community that places greater value on self-sacrifice than self-aggrandization. A community in which love of God and love of neighbor are at the apex of every individual and collective human achievement. And then Kenneth's prayer. Lord, strengthen me to strengthen my church, to be a change agent in this world. Amen. Oh boy, all kinds of things came to mind reading this one today. One of the first things that hit me is a book that the anti-racism group that I lead is reading together. The Land is Not Empty, about indigenous culture and the impact of the doctrine of discovery, going into what the doctrine of discovery was and is, and how it was used and is still being used to depress indigenous peoples all around the world. But just reading a story recently in that book about the nature of North American indigenous culture was one of mutual support and community, and how the Western European settlers, Christians, tried to change their behavior away from that community structure and more towards an individualistic structure, which may in fact still be more of an American thing than even a Western European thing today. But they had happy, healthy lives, healthy communities, and then were destroyed by changing the nature of their sense of community. And it made me also think of discussions, our conversation that we recently had too. I think it was around that book about how when indigenous North Americans were placed into reservations, and at first they were rebuilding their community structure on those reservations, and then there was an allotment, a change in how the reservations were structured, and allotments were given with land given to each individual, and they were encouraged to farm on their own, which again split apart their community-based, community-centered lifestyle because it was seen as a threat to the capitalistic North American competitive structure. So it's kind of strange. And then you look at what Jesus was really about, and Jesus was about building community and looking out for the well-being of the entire community, not for the individual. And yet Christianity in North America is often all about individual salvation when you die. It's not about community. Where did we go wrong? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Maybe yours are going to be different, but that's what really just jumbled around in my mind as I was reading this devotional. There's so much wrapped up into that. So hope it gives you something to think about. I hope it gives you something to think about in terms of what is church really and what is it about, and how can we take that model of community outside the walls of the church and really make a difference in this world. Hope you have a good day. Hope I didn't give you too much to fret over, but on the other hand, I hope I did, and hope to talk to you soon.